So we've spoken about protein, fat, carbohydrates. The fourth macronutrient is alcohol.
Yeah.
So in the pursuit of improving body composition, how important is considering alcohol? Is alcohol something that you think derails a lot of people?
Yes. Yes. And that's because a subset of the population gets addicted. And bad things can happen with any kind of substance abuse or addiction. And so with alcohol having addictive potential, we can take about 10% of the population, the general population, and say, I wish they knew what would happen before they started drinking. Because 1 out of 10 people is going to have some degree of alcohol use disorder, at least in the developed world. So, from that standpoint. So now, from a muscle protein synthesis standpoint, alcohol appears to impair that as well. So in the short term, alcohol does inhibit these processes towards muscle growth. And just from a dietary compliance type of standpoint, alcohol has a, in quotes, disinhibiting effect, where you just say, screw it. And then you eat whatever's in front of you. And
it contains calories itself.
It can impair sleep quality. And I'm talking about excessive amounts. Across the literature, 1 to 2 drinks a day doesn't seem to hurt most people who don't get addicted. But beyond that, you can impair sleep quality. And when you impair sleep quality, you do a double whammy of increasing your appetite and cravings for hyperpalatable foods. And you decrease training quality when you're hungover and trying to recover from a training session that you didn't just skip because you're hungover. So,
yeah, I can attest to those changes in appetite with sleep deprivation. Mm-hmm. Last night I had a fire alarm going off in the building next to me. So if anyone could notice that I was a little bit tired today, that's why. But Alan's done all the heavy lifting, so
good.
made my job nice and easy.
Good.
You stopped drinking in 2018, was it?
2018, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What motivated you to do that?
Oh, career and life disaster.
It's a good reason.
Yeah, my drinking got really bad. I was drinking as just a matter of routine, just bottle of wine, bottle and a half, all by myself, every night, and while working.
And still training throughout the week?
And still training, but the training was half-assed. And so it got to a point where it affected my professional and personal life catastrophically. And so a lot of times, when you talk to people who have alcohol use disorder or alcoholics, they'll name their rock bottoms. And so my rock bottom point was in 2018. And that's when I said, you know what? There are so many things in life that you are enslaved to that you can't just leave behind. There's so many things in life that you have to do. This is something that I don't have to do. And so I just left it. Never look back. Now, I have to say that not everybody needs to go cold turkey with quitting alcohol. Some people, and this is even reflected in literature, where alcohol dependence is not severe, and therefore people who can actually go on moderation programs. Not everybody has to quit cold turkey. But in my particular case, I decided to quit cold turkey. There's an interesting thing about alcohol and self-awareness. I think that the way that you come across to others has everything to do with self-awareness. And I think situational awareness is super duper important if you are in the workplace as a public figure, and all that stuff. And there's different degrees of situational awareness. In military training, there's the first degree of situational awareness is being able to identify the objects in your environment. Second degree of situational awareness is knowing what those people or things are doing. And the third degree of situational awareness or situation awareness is being able to predict what's going to happen in the future, depending on what is going on in the environment. So alcohol, you don't even have a first degree of situational awareness, and you can be screwed, blued, and tattooed, bro. So those are some things to consider. Above and beyond just the health effects of alcohol. I think there's some other deeper trouble you can get into.
Yeah, and I think at least the research community is kind of coming to terms now with the fact that from a health stand, zero alcohol is best. I know it was kind of debated for a while, and people spoke about resveratrol and almost tried to convince ourselves that some alcohol is beneficial. But at least the latest scientific kind of advisory papers and positions that I've seen are now making it quite clear that if you don't drink, there's no reason to start.
My take is that there's going to be a minority of the population for whom drinking is a catastrophically bad life decision. I was one of them. Thankfully, I've been past that with no issues for over 5 years now. But the thing is, you don't know whether you're one of those folks who's susceptible to that kind of addiction and dependence. So that's a good point. Now, with that, I disagree with the idea that zero alcohol is always going to be healthier. I think that that's an observational data point. I think that there are also counterpoints to that observationally in populations who consume alcohol regularly. In fact, 4 out of the 5 blue zones are regular consumers of 1 to 2 drinks a day.
But we could run a similar experiment with them, where we go and take a group of them and see if they do
healthier.
even better.
And they live to
Can we do that and the resistance training, maybe in parallel?
That's true. But I look at somebody like my wife who can just take or leave alcohol. Doesn't give a crap about it. Can have like 1 to 3 drinks a month and be fine. I'm very skeptical about the idea of saying that zero alcohol, especially if it's something like red wine, that has also, a lot of data showing positive effects on various health parameters. I think it can depend on the alcohol source too.